Hi everyone, it's Damien and Ahmad here, Energy Helpout. This is a second one. You find us in very different circumstances from last time. Ahmad and I are stuck at home, working remotely. It's the beginning of the second week of the UK coronavirus lockdown. But we are here at your disposal for all things energy, as ever. And we wanted to keep Energy Helpout ticking over, and we've been talking over the last week about ways and means that businesses can still usefully tackle energy efficiency issues and other opportunities around energy in this period of downtime, because we know a lot of people are still working, albeit from home. And we were talking about how if energy managers or those responsible for energy in their organizations have got the time now, they could have a reflection on some of the things that they otherwise might not be able to do because they're too busy in the day job. And so we talked about some of the things that people could be doing. And a lot of this stuff is obviously remote. In fact, all of it's remote because you can't get into the place of work. So we talked about things that we can do now, and we've got a few ideas to share with you, and also a few ideas about what you could do as and when the restrictions on movement are lifted and we can get back to actual physical places of work. Some of the things that energy managers or facilities people can do at that initial stage before everybody crowds back in. So we've got a few things we want to share with you. As ever, we're happy to discuss these, and we want to get your involvement and engagement in them. So please do put any comments below. We will be answering them, of course. But yeah, so for today, Ahmad, he's over there in the electronic ether. How are you this morning, Ahmad? You all right?
I'm all good. I'm guessing you're the same.
I'm not bad. I am wrestling with homeschooling and sort of home videoing technologies, but other than that, I think I'm just about all right. So last week, Ahmad, we were talking ahead of this conversation about some of the things that people could be doing, and I think the first thing that sprung into your mind was around the issue of consolidation. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so where office managers or building managers might have teams which have to go into the office, that might be like a call center or some sort of skeleton crew which needs to be in the office. It's important to ensure where possible that all staff are working in proximity to each other, so i.e. they're occupying the same room or the same floor of a building, so they can be all consolidated together essentially, which means that HVAC services, lighting, hot water can be switched off on floors that are not being used. So if people are spread out across the building, it means those services are being used across the building where they don't need to be. So it's good to consolidate all your staff in one place where possible. So that was the idea around consolidation. Following on from that, the other idea is around reconfiguring the site's BMS settings if there is a BMS system in place.
They're kind of directly interrelated, those two things.
Yeah. And generally, in a normal working environment, you'd have your BMS calendar system set up, and your HVAC system to come on during your core operating hours.
Yeah.
It might be the case that those as those operating hours are no longer in place, there's an opportunity to amend or even switch off the BMS systems in most businesses, and most modern BMS systems have a remote terminal that can be accessed via the web, so that can be done at home. And similarly with centralized aircon controllers, so you have Mitsubishi centralized controllers which can be accessed remotely as well. So your split AC units can be reconfigured to be turned off as well when they're not required at the moment. Other than that, the other thing that can be looked at remotely is your utility bills.
Absolutely.
Particularly water. So it can be assumed with buildings being emptied now that your water consumption should be significantly reduced. However, if you're still seeing a significant water consumption, then that could be an indication or a symptom of a water leak somewhere, or a neighbour, for example, using your water, which you might not have been aware of. And I know you mentioned, Damien, when we were chatting about this last week, about modern smart meters. Now you can get real-time data almost now. So that can be utilised to sort of keep an eye on your utilities while you're away from the office.
Absolutely. Last week sorry to interrupt, Amar. In the last video we talked about the findings from ESOS, and in nearly every client that I dealt with in ESOS, the energy data that they were providing was pretty low rent, frankly. At best, they were able to give me 12 monthly reads, which is a bare minimum, really, for a business to be able to, operate and understand its energy. But it really is a bare minimum. So many of those sites I was going on to, they had meters that they weren't even particularly sophisticated meters, but they were. If you looked at the MPAN number, which is the unique identifier for those meters, had a 00 within the metering number there, which meant that they were capable of providing half-hourly data, which I've talked about before, but it's really important, especially now, because even as we speak, all the time that there's been downtime over the last week or so, and in the time preceding that, that meter has been recording your energy consumption, half-hourly intervals, day and night, weekends. At this stage, you can approach your energy provider and say, give me that data, that's our data, we want to have a look at it, get 12 months to say as a starting point, and then start looking at it, graph it out, understand what you do, what your baseline is in the evenings, and then the baseline is at the weekends if you run a traditional sort of 9 to 5 operation, and understand why you may be using more than you expected to at the weekends or in the evenings, and start being curious about why that is the case. But you need to do that investigation with your utility provider, electricity and gas, to understand the data that is available to you, and then start to interrogate it. And now's a great time. It's a desktop it's a desktop exercise. So it's something that can be done at home. But yeah, you need to just go and investigate and see what's in there, and then all sorts of opportunities will fall out from that.
Exactly. The other thing we were talking about last week as well, off the record, is companies should now realise the benefits of sort of remote working and teleconferencing, and so and when they go back to normal working routines, teleconferencing should be encouraged over sort of staff travelling to client sites, for example, or staff travelling to other company estates for meetings, etc. So hopefully, off the back of this unfortunate event, we could see something quite good in a reduced transport consumption over the coming months.
Yeah, we've all seen a lot of Zoom being used lately.
Yeah,
there are other video conferencing tools available as well. But I hope that this has dispelled some of the myths around video conferencing. The energy savings are massive potentially, in terms of transport and in terms of just time away when you drive in a car when you could be working. I also hope that it's sort of dispelled some of the myths around, in sort of managerial circles as well, that there is no merit to this, and that yes, sometimes you want to go and meet face to face, and that will still happen. But there's quite a lot of the day-to-day turning the handle sort of meetings that could be done on Zoom from now on, or some, in that sort of fashion. And I mean, this works. If you and I can produce, a YouTube video using this sort of technology, then people can cobble together a few meetings from now and again and reduce their energy consumption in that way.
Agreed. I know you wanted to talk about cementing policies and procedures in this downtime period as well. So what are your thoughts on that?
Well, so we know that businesses that are successful in managing down their energy consumption don't do it in an ad hoc way.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, there are some occasional quick wins. People turn out, swap out some LED lighting, for example. But to have a year-on-year improvement and reduction in energy consumption and make a success of it and have that continuous improvement, then they have to think about how energy is managed in the business. Yes, start with an energy policy, have an action plan for how you're going to do it, have a team. May only be small, but it's representative. It has someone on board who has some sway in the business, who can properly facilitate some investment in the team in terms of money, in terms of time and staff capacity to deliver on the actions in your energy plan, and reports back to the management team, to the SLT team in an organization, on a regular basis. This is what we're doing, puts it out for scrutiny. This is where we've come, but we're going to need this to do the next stage, so that there's an interest there, and so it's got the visibility high up. This needs a little bit of time to put that in place. So I realize people are busy on all sorts of different things now, but it's the time away from the day job in some respects, or the day-to-day, and a useful time to perhaps take stock of where you are with energy consumption and formalize it in an actual system. You would call it an energy management system. So I think now is a good time to be doing that.
Exactly. So those are sort of the brief ideas that we've had, but like Damien said at the start, we're happy to talk to anybody who needs any further guidance on this. Any analysis of your consumption data, if you need us to undertake any of that desktop analysis on your behalf, we're very happy to do that for you. And I think that's it. Have you got anything more to add, Damien?
We said we'd talk a little bit about that little sweet spot that's going to exist maybe for when people go back into their organizations, and start ramping things back up again. So there will be a few opportunities at that stage where facilities guys and girls and energy managers and those people who have got to prepare these places of work for the influx of people coming back, got an opportunity to look around and understand a few bits and bobs about energy and make some assessments. And the one thing that we kept, which is hard to sometimes see when the business is like a manufacturing organization that's going, great guns all weekend or whatever, is air leaks in compressors. And so understanding, doing an assessment of air leaks in a manufacturing site, something that's not as easy to do when everybody's working there. But if you're walking into an empty building and you can hear it easily, and you can do those assessments. And these aren't things that need weeks on end to do. They need a day to walk around something, or half a day. And lots of other examples of similar things like that, where you can figure out what's our baseline energy use, our base load, you're using unnecessarily. So that air leak on a compressor is a good one. There are others as well. So lots to think about during this period, I think, Ahmad.
So I think we should wrap it up there. Keep it as short as we possibly can. So like Damien said at the top, feel free to get in contact, leave comments, feedback. If you want to join us on a chat, feel free to get in contact for that as well. But until then, see you in the next one.
Thanks, Ahmad. Take care, and I'll see you soon.